Hello, Christina here from the Big Little Homestead. Let's talk about seeds and plants. So, in years past, I've tried to start seeds and I put them upstairs in my window and I made sure that they were warm and I got some good germination rates, but then it never seemed to last. My plants always got stringy and long and they would eventually die, and I just thought that I didn't know how to grow seeds, which was true, and I wanted to give up every year. I never researched it, and I never, up until this year, learned how to properly do it. The truth is, it was really a very simple fix for us to have really good success. When starting seeds, you need warmth uh, to germinate the seeds. So that's why heat mats are great. Now, you can do this without seed mats. You can put them on top of your refrigerator. You could put them in a warm location in your home, and they should germinate just fine. And honestly, if you don't have the means to do it, and you want to start seeds anyway to keep them really warm, I would just put them in a place that doesn't get too cold, and it might be a little bit slower going, but you should get some germination from your seeds. But the most important thing to remember here that I'm talking about is that they need warmth to germinate. Once they come out of the ground, they still need to have temperature control, but from there, it's all about light. I always thought it was about warmth, but it's not. It's about light. So every year when I was putting them in my window and they would get really leggy and stringy and kind of fall over and flop over and die, it was because they were reaching for more light. They did not have enough. So after doing a little bit of research, I thought, I'm going to try this. And I went out and we looked and searched on Facebook Marketplace. I got a couple lights, and I also got a couple lights off Craigslist. And I got 4-foot long fluorescent lights that had two 4-foot bulbs, fluorescent bulbs, and from there I put them on top of my seedlings and they grew really well. I was every day bringing Rob down to the basement. This is where we have it set up, and I'll show it to you. Bringing Rob down to the basement saying, look, they're really short, they're really strong, and they're really stocky. Look at how amazing of a difference that these lights make. So really, they do need warmth, but I'm going to say the most significant thing you can do for your seedlings is to give them light. Now, there's a lot of other options online that you can go buy, but we wanted to do this on the cheap and we wanted to do it quickly, and so this is the route we took. Like, we spent, I think, at max $8 a fixture. However, there are some LED lights out there that you'll spend more upfront on for growing purposes, and you're going to spend a lot less in electricity than we do. So it's really just up to you what you want to do. I'll show you how we do it, and we've had really good success. From there, once your seeds sprout and get them under the light, we have them in these little cell packs. You can, and they get big enough, you can pot them up into the next size pot. And if they outgrow that pot, you can pot them up again. The way I do it is I look at the farmersalmanac.com, and you plug in your zip code and it'll give you start times for everything that you want to grow. So wherever you're living has a growing zone attached to it. All you have to do is go online, type in your zip code, and it will give it to you. We're in 6B, From there, it'll tell you how to start and when to start each one of your crops. Some crops do better directly sown in the ground outside. Some crops do better started indoors. Some do better start very early. Some do well started much later. Some do well in the cold, and some do well in the warmth. So it's really important that you research what type of plant you're growing and how and when to start it. For example, peppers need a really good head start. They're slow going, and at least in my zone, they need a good head start. Down south, you can probably start them later because you're going to have a longer growing season. You get more peppers out of them when they become mature enough to start producing fruit. Here, if I waited to put my seeds in the ground at, after our last frost, which for us it's around Mother's Day, I would have a smaller harvest than if I started them like I did back in February. So it's important to see where your zone is, and it's important for you to start your plants accordingly. So now that we've talked about zoning, we've talked about warmth and light, we'll talk about the process of moving them outside, hardening things off to the weather outside. As you could imagine, our controlled environment in my basement is a lot different than, the weather outside because of obvious reasons: sun, wind, temperature, all the things that they're not used to in here. So it definitely takes time to put them outside over the course of a couple of days, a little bit more each day, so that they start to get used to those environmental changes. Now, one of my favorite YouTubers, Luke over at MI Gardener, I suggest you check him out. He has so many informational videos, and I watch them like crazy to learn about what I'm doing here. He has this really good trick of lazy hardening off your plants. And what he does is he waits for a stretch of a couple days where it's pretty cloudy outside. It's not too cold, but it's cloudy out, so that things are not going to be getting sunburnt. Your main concern is sunburnt. And if you're putting them out after the temperature permits, then you really shouldn't have to worry too much about temperature, because you shouldn't put them out before temperature would permit. So what he would do is, rather than putting them out a couple of hours each day and gradually increasing that for the course of maybe 7 days over the course of a week, instead he waits for a couple of days, like 3 or 4 days, where it's cloudy and it's going to be maybe some overcast, and he throws them right on out there and he leaves them there. And with that, you don't have to bring them in, you don't have to bring them out, because it's not going to get sunburnt, and I'll be trying it that way as well, and we'll report back. One more thing to touch on quickly is that we have a little shed that I'll show you that has some windows on it that we kind of turned into a little greenhouse. So I was lucky, as I ran out of space down here, to be able to move things outside into that shed. And if I didn't have that, I would not be able to keep starting things, and I wouldn't be able to have anywhere to put them. And I would be really pushing how much space that I could use for these lights. So keep that in mind, that if you don't have somewhere to put them outside in the colder months, that you do not want to start as many as I started, because it's just really a lot. So let's get into it and talk about what we've got started here. Okay, so let me back up and show you the whole... Actually, let me show you what that noise is really quick. So that's our quail. And this is for another video, but just so that you understand what that loud noise is. That's Mr. Naughty. This is his little... Where did he go? Hi, bud. This is Mr. Naughty's little home, temporarily. But that's who you hear squawking in the background. And yes, this is temporary for a home for him, so he'll be out of there soon, enjoying life with all of his ladies. He was just kind of beating up on the ladies, and we need to get more ladies, more females, in order for him to be put back in, because they are just, our ratio of male to female is off, and until we can up that ratio of females, they need a break. And so Mr. Naughty is what we're calling, is what his name is, and he's staying down the basement with us. So Here is our full little grow station, and then I've even taken this little area under the fish tank and threw a light under there. The seed starting mat. This keeps everything warm. You just plop the plants right on top of it, and it's warm, and it helps with germination, and it'll just help everything germinate faster and give you a better germination rate. So we kind of start on this shelf here. And as you can see, my little precious things are coming up. And we have all of our first station here of our seed starting, which is where all of the heat mats are. From there, after they get a little bigger, we pot them up into bigger pots. Now the next size pot we have are 2.5 inches. I bought all my pots and trays from Grower Solution. They're awesome. And so here's the pots we're using for the next size up. From here, I have a little bit of a bigger pot. Some things grow so fast that they skip this next pot. But from there, you got your 3-inch pots. And then as far as big as we've gone this year, you got your next size pots here. Everything came from Grower Solution, who really is awesome, and they give you bulk for a better price. Then from here, we pot them up into the next pot. Here we have some chamomile. This here is some echinacea and some beautiful basil in the back. There's some beans and some cucumbers here. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take some out that are really in need to come out and then leave this to finish off. A lot of times that I think things are not going to germinate, and then they still will. So if you've been waiting and waiting and waiting on something, keep it up, because a lot of times the germination rate is a lot longer than what the packet of seeds will say. I've learned that this year, that just keep waiting. A lot of the times they'll still come up. Eventually, I mean, you know, obviously you got to call it at some point, especially if you need the space for something else. But like a lot of these are still going to come up, you know? So some of those full, I'll just put it back under and let it go for a couple more days. Down here we have a lot of tomatoes and peppers. Some more tomatoes and peppers and some beans. These are some eggplants and some flowers. And there's here like different things for tea, to make tea, and some watermelons and things like that. Nasturtium. Look at how beautiful nasturtium is. Just without anything on it other than its leaves. Who would have known? If I didn't grow that, I'd have never known. And then under here is kind of where I picked out all the things that we're going to keep for our family. Let's go look at our next step in the process. So what I've done even just today is I gathered a bunch of stuff that is just taking up room. As I start these plants and then have to pot them up, I like run out of room, you know? So I've kind of been moving them here, and we'll start the process of moving them, you know, outside into the greenhouse and start that hardening off process. From there, they go to the greenhouse. Let's go check that out. There's also another little stop to make on the way where we keep all of our cold weather stuff, because that's all going to be outside now. There's literally plants everywhere. Another one that's ready to go outside. Here's some that are ready to go to people's houses. And here I'll show you, we have all of our cold weather starts that I moved out a couple weeks ago. Okay, let's go take a peek in the greenhouse. I'm gonna flip this around and show you what we got going on in here. Okay, so this is our shed. It's just really a shed with these windows. It was here when we bought the house. And this is the first year we've taken advantage of it, and it's worked. So this is our section of the things I'm keeping. My tomatoes, which, can you stand it? Look at this. Flowering. Love it. So many flowers happening on these tomatoes. Beautiful, huge, strong. I mean, I've never grown anything like this before. That is a strong tomato plant. And then we move, oh, it smells so good. All you need to do is touch it to release its super duper smell good tomato plant smells. Here again is nasturtium. Let's flip it and look at how beautiful this is. Gorgeous. It doesn't need any flowers. That's the most beautiful thing. Here's some of these loofahs, and like this is a little spot of sunburn, but that'll do okay. Some peanuts and some squash and cucumbers and things. Here's my beautiful peppers, in which I hand pollinated some of these. I definitely need to get a second round of hand pollinating, but let me see if I can find my little pepper that's already fruiting. Look at that. This is for hand pollination. I'm just so proud. I've never done anything like this, and it just is amazing. Exciting. Calendula, another edible flower. And then this is all sold. This is all what I'm holding for folks right now with names. These are little, well, big 4-packs of tomatoes. I thought these would be fun. These are going to be sold as 4 different tomatoes in each. And then, again, beautiful nasturtium. This is what I have left to sell right now. So I got pretty low on stuff. Like I had, what, 3 pepper plants left. And I have a few tomatoes left. But, and this is our loofah, which totally got some sunburnt when we moved it out. So that's directly what I'm talking about. And then look at the new leaves as they're hardened off, because it is pretty chilly in here. Or not. I mean, they're now used to this, and the new leaves are going to be nice and healthy. So those old leaves will be fine. They'll, you know, prune them off when the plant gets a little bit bigger. This is our little area where we have all of our move our seeds from inside to out here in the greenhouse. Quick note about the bricks. I read at the beginning of the season that bricks will hold heat, which is totally true. On a warm day, you come in here and touch the brick and it's almost like hot to the touch. So I just lined this wood, hoping to keep in a little bit more, hoping to hold a little bit more warmth throughout the evenings, the cold evenings. Okay. Okay, so that kind of does it for seed starting. We will harden off the rest of our plants. We will put them in the ground soon. Ground is ready for them. Cannot wait to fill all that in. So I just wanted to touch on quickly lumens and Kelvin. Kelvin needs to be a minimum of 6,500 Kelvin for your lights, and or 6,500 K for your lights, and lumens need to be minimum 2,000 to 3,000 lumens. If you are checking your lights and they're like at that minimal number, check your lights before you buy them, your bulbs before you buy them. And there are grow lights that you can go purchase. As far as like for my light fixture, I have T8s in there, which is a pretty thick bulb, and I can just go onto Amazon and get specific lights for growing plants. However, I just did it the cheaper way and went to Walmart and picked up a pack of T8s, just plain ShopLight T8 bulbs. But before I bought them, I checked to make sure that they had the right Kelvin and the right lumen, which they did. So you want to have a 6500 K, and you want 2,000 to 3,000 lumens. It'll say right on the bulb, and it'll say right on the box. So that's what you want to get. And if you're at the low number of that, then you will put the lights pretty directly on, like right on top of your plants. And as they grow, just move the light up a little bit. And you can kind of just watch your plants to see how they're doing. If they're looking like they're reaching for light, move your light lower. And if they look like they're really stocky and you have some room and some of them are getting taller, see how those lower ones do if you move them up. Sometimes I've had to take, shorter plants, move them into another section where I can move my light a lot closer to them, and then move the light further away from the plants that have gotten taller. So it is edamame time, but I just wanted to touch on that quickly and look up those numbers quickly because I can't ever remember them. But I did want to touch on that because it is important to have success. But honestly, guys, I literally just bought the cheapest pack of shop lights. I bought nothing that said grow on it. I literally just bought what you'd put in your ceiling. So don't think too much about these things. Just get growing. It's okay. So have a great day. Okay, so we are going to end this video with a little potting up action. And I'm just going to speed it up and play some music over it so you can see us going from smaller pots to bigger pots. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thank you.